Before we get started, the topic of this video is driving licenses and all the ways that they can be screwed up. Hi, I'm Erin Zettle. I'm a Family Literacy Center board member and a licensed attorney in the state of Michigan. I practice criminal law. We're creating these informational videos to help inform our students about certain legal issues. The legal advice is very general advice. It isn't addressing any specific legal problem. It's also valid as of December of 2023. Laws change all the time. So, driving. Look, if you loan your car to someone and you know that they don't have a license, you've committed a crime. It's a misdemeanor called allowing a suspended person to operate. If you borrow a car from someone and you know that their plates are not good and you know there's not insurance, when you get pulled over, which you might not, but you might, that's on you, not the owner of the car. These are things that people don't necessarily understand. It's your responsibility, because driving is a privilege and not a right, to know what the status of your license is, to know what the status is of the car that you're driving. So look, I know it's going to be really nerdy, but before you borrow someone's car, pop open the glove box, pull out the paperwork, and double check. Do they have insurance? Is it valid? Do they have registration? Is it valid? Because you don't want to end up with $400 or $500 worth of tickets because your friend Keith couldn't be bothered. Just like you don't want to end up with a misdemeanor on your record because your friend Dave has a suspended license. And this is the thing. If you get charged with any of these types of driving offenses, keep in mind that you really do need to ask for a court-appointed attorney or hire an attorney if you can, because there are implications to these offenses that are much bigger than just paying some fines and costs. For instance, if you get charged with driving with license suspended, DWLS, sure, you'll just pay fines and costs. That's what the prosecutor will tell you when he offers you the deal. Just plead to it and you'll just pay fines and costs. Your driver's license will also be suspended for 365 additional days. They don't tell you that. They don't have to. They're not your lawyer. So even though it seems excessive because it's just a traffic thing, please consult an attorney before you take any plea deal, even if it's just a minor traffic issue. Your license can be suspended for a lot of things. I had a client, she took her daughter down for a medical procedure in Ann Arbor. She couldn't afford to park in the parking garage at U of M Hospital. She didn't understand that she could get her parking validated. She parked on the street. She was 20 minutes late. She got a parking ticket. It was $45. She couldn't afford that. She thought she'd pay it later. When she didn't pay it within 30 days, Ann Arbor Parking Authority reported it to the Secretary of State. They gave her a failure to comply with judgment, FCJ. It suspended her driver's license. In the interim, she moved from one apartment to another, and she didn't get the notice from the Secretary of State that her driver's license was being suspended for failure to comply with the judgment. She got caught driving on a suspended license. They offered that she could just pay fines and costs. If she had done that, she would have lost her driver's license for another year. She lived and worked 30 minutes apart. Her house was in Vassar, her work was in Cairo. She would have had to drive dirty for a year, potentially putting herself in the position of getting 6 or 7 more of these tickets, losing her license for a much longer time, losing everything that she worked for. Or her other option was don't drive for a year, lose her job, lose her apartment, lose everything. Because we worked together, we were able to deal with the FCJ issue and the ticket out of Ann Arbor and get her a better plea offer that did not involve an additional suspension. That's what lawyers actually do. They work on making sure that the consequences of your actions aren't disproportionate to your actions. But the main thing is this. 1, it is your responsibility to know the status of your license. If you think you might have a problem, then you go to the Secretary of State and you ask them. If you think that your friend might not have a license, then he does not get to borrow your car to drive to Speedy Q. If you're not certain if your Aunt Tammy's car is licensed and insured, then you don't borrow it to run to the Speedy Q. And if you do happen to do any of these things and get in trouble, you ask for an attorney to make sure you know all of the consequences of the choices that you're going to make so that you don't end up with much bigger consequences than you actually deserve for the actions that you did take. Wrapping up, here's another standard lawyer disclaimer. This isn't specific legal advice. If you have a legal problem, please consult an attorney. A lot of lawyers have free consultations.